Hello and welcome to an overview of the legendary Uncapped Perks mod. Now, I didn't call it legendary Uncapped Perks to be pompous. It's designed to work with the legendary version of Skyrim, hence the name. Uh, the only real requirement is that you have an updated version of Skyrim because it does require update.esm. Um, Now, the first few questions I know I'm going to get before I even start are, no, you do not need the Community on Capper mod to use this mod. You just won't be able to use any perks that require more than 100 skill level in any one skill. So there's still plenty to get use out of. And then, yes, this is compatible with other perk mods to a point. Whenever you use multiple perk mods, you always will have someone lose. So, for example, with this mod, I actually use the stealth skills rebalanced mod, which overrides any changes I've already made to this mod, since it's later on in my load order, and that's what I want to do. And for example, if I use this mod with Skyrim Redone, it would override any perks that mod overrides if mine was later in the load order. So it's really all about what you want out of your experience more so than if it's compatible. So just try it and find out what works best for you. So just to go over a little motivation of why I bothered to make this, is the number one feature I wanted was your skill level and spells actually applying to spell magnitude and damage and duration and such, which I couldn't really find any mods I liked that implemented this. And then the other reason is I did use uncapped perks and no perk prerequisites, and those mods didn't play well together, and there were quite a few problems I was discovering with the uncapped perks mod, and and they both weren't working with the more recent versions of Skyrim. They were actually removing several fixes that came about. And actually, while I'm on the point of fixes, this mod does re-implement all the fixes, or several bug fixes, and the ones included if you use the unofficial Skyrim patch. So if you use the unofficial Skyrim patch, this will not on-patch something and introduce more bugs. Anything that this mod does change is on purpose, so just to make a note of that. And without further ado, let's actually look at what I changed. Now, I'm not going to go over everything I changed. I'm only going to do highlights, so to basically get an idea whether you even want to use this. All the perks will require looking at in your own time. And I didn't actually change it that much from the vanilla game. The biggest thing I've seen is people changing way too much when they make a mod, and I like to keep it simple as possible. So first up, in Illusion, basically when you take the novice perk, it's going to affect the magnitude, which affects how the level of the creatures and people you can use spells on. Now, I have done I have tested this pretty well, and it is very balanced. Like, you won't be able to use illusion spells on, say, bandit chiefs and stuff, at least not until you're very late into the game. And illusion spells are much more useful, much more powerful, but they're not completely overpowered. There are still situations where you're going to have to come up with some other idea. And this remains true for spells I was using from other spell mods, such as the Apocalyptic spell package. I couldn't really find a illusion spell that became horribly overpowered by implementing this feature. And then, oh, that's the wrong branch. And then basically, as you take more perks, it just costs less magicka to use illusion spells. And if you go all the way up, you will get to 40 magicka. Oh, and I did mention no perk prerequisites unless it makes sense. So I mean, really, you're not going to get the apprentice illusion unless you have the novice. That requirement actually makes sense. But like, For other spells, if they're not really related, by all means take them without taking the prerequisites. So Conjuration, basically still spell duration. If you have 100 in Conjuration, you'll get roughly twice, or you'll get twice the amount of time in spell duration. Illusion's slightly different because it applies to level as opposed to actual seconds. Now Destruction is, this is by far my favorite one because it applies to spell damage, and it is a little bit higher. I believe it's for every 100 skill points, it's about 3 times the amount of damage. And then the other perks will make destruction spells even stronger, but cost more magicka. And if you want to specialize in either shock or frost or fire, you can specialize in all of them. I don't restrict you to that. I actually hate when mods do that. But basically, it'll cost a little less to use, say, shock spells, but you'll be able to do more damage as well. So with all these stacked together, you can actually become an epically powerful mage that can destroy everything. What more reason do you want? Although I will say the numbers look right, but I haven't completed a playthrough with this to make sure it's completely balanced and reasonable, but I haven't run into any problems thus far. Yeah, Restoration is also a spell magnitude, so you can heal more, and that does stack with Regeneration when you activate the Novice skill level, and then it's the same as far as just reducing cost to 40% by the time you get all the way to the Master rank. And Alteration, so it seems like I'm... Oh, that was it. I forgot to mention Illusion does affect spell level, but it also affects duration, since there are illusion spells that have time associated with them rather than level. That was the other change I made recently. With Alteration, it only affects spell duration, and that's because most spells have both magnitude effects as well as duration effects, and I didn't want to completely break everything by affecting both with the level of your skill. So at the moment it's exactly the same as Conjuration, where 100 skill points will get you double the length of the spell. That might not be enough. Like I said, I have been doing a lot of testing of this, but there's only so much testing I can do on my own when you basically have to play 5 different types of mages. Or, well, I guess only 4. You can't really do much as Restoration only, although that could be a fun challenge. Now, Enchanting and Alchemy are the ones I've really kind of uncapped and added to. So you can really go insane with your Enchanting. And, so I mean, whatever you want to become an excellent enchanter, and you can most definitely do that. And I actually do have extra spell effects. So 2 enchantments is normal with 100. You can actually put up to 3 if you get to 150. And you can actually put up to 4 if you do 175. Now if you think this is overpowered, yeah, you just see how long it takes you to reach Enchanting 175. I've never accomplished that with severely long playthroughs using the Uncappers, so yeah. I actually haven't changed anything with smithing. Now heavy armor, like the one thing I have noticed is armor gets pretty useless after you hit the in-game limit of I remember it's 80% reduction in armor. It's like 565 or some odd number like that as far as armor rating goes. So each perk only gives you 15 now instead of 20 to to at least not make it completely useless until the end of the game. And the other thing I made, which I know a lot of people have been wanting, is when you take a perk that affects armor sets, you don't need the helmet. And actually, the way this logic works, you could have, as long as you have 3 of the 4 for a set of armor, it will work. And this is for vanilla armors only. I cannot guarantee if this will work for mod armors. That's just how that is. So block, I actually added something that maybe it's interesting, maybe it's not. I thought of parry. Now, I'm sure I think there's mods that may do this with actual animations, but basically, if you have a one-handed weapon and you're blocking, it reduces how much it's going to stagger you, and the main idea is, you know, you're not going to just stand there and take the hit, you're going to try to deflect the blow if you had a one-handed weapon, and somewhat realistically, maybe. So yeah, two-handed weapons, that's on caps, so you can get really insane. Oh, actually, yes, one-handed weapons. I added a perk where if you want to just use daggers, you can really get your dagger skill up, and it does make quite a bit of differences from the playthroughs I've been doing. See, oh, and I have also done stuff such as in archery. Some perks I've made it easier to start on them, I guess is what you could say. So normally for quick shot, you get 30% faster at requirement 70, but here you can get a 15% with just 35, and then you can step into the 70, and then it actually is on cap, so you can go quite a bit farther. And that's mainly because, well, especially with bows, it's a real grind to get that high, and it's like you really do want this perk as soon as you can get it. I don't consider that I don't consider that type of thing overpowered either. It's, from what I've played, it's not enough to, you know, completely break your game early on, or well, break your game at all, or break your gaming experience. Excuse me. So yes, because I've been using the stealth overhaul, I haven't really changed much in sneak, lockpicking, and pickpocketing. I have uncapped sneak, but that's about it as far as that's concerned. Speech, I'm not going to lie, is pretty useless as far as money goes, so I haven't even bothered. Now, alchemy, I have made this weaker along with enchanting, and one of the main reasons for that is I've actually done playthroughs where I've taken no perks in enchanting or alchemy and still become very wealthy beyond measure, and I take several other precautions to make money as worthwhile as possible, and I can still break the system. So I reduced the strength of alchemy. And the other thing I really liked when I was doing the playthrough is I've really made it so you can really customize your alchemy skills. So if you want to specialize in just making poisons, you can actually do that now. So you can take several perks on making poisons and having concentrated poisons where weapons last longer, and this doesn't get too overly overpowered because you just get one more hit per perk. But it does make sense that a poison bottle should last for, you know, you should be able to poison 7 arrows with that, or you should be able to, you know, make a poison that's going to last a while on your dagger. I mean, a little poison goes a long way in movies and such. Why not in a video game? Oh, and then the other main change I made was experimenters now 25, 50, and 75. Before it was 50, 70, and 90, which, considering you can already know one without any perks when you eat something, one effect, it doesn't really make sense why you would need 50 skill all of a sudden to get to the second one. That seems a very large gap. So I fixed that. And we're back to illusion already, so those are the main changes I've made, and this is currently for version 1.0 if you're wondering. Any subsequent, I'm bound to make other changes, but we'll see how that all works. So thank you for watching, and I hope you will find this mod useful.